So as I'm remodeling my shop, I put in some plumbing so that I can have a shop sink. And I purchased online this stainless steel heavy gauge shop sink here. And so I need to build a cabinet for it. And what I started off with is I built this cabinet top. I had some leftover walnut, and I didn't even have a planer joiner at that time. My shop is kind of in disarray right now. I'm trying to build it as I'm working in it, and I just milled all this wood on the table saw, and it's turned out really nice and flat. So what I'm doing with this is I'm putting some epoxy that's soaking into this, and I'm going to finish this. But I have this top in place. The sink is going to drop in here, and so I was building a cabinet. I haven't done a lot of work with cabinets or vanities, so I was doing a lot of experimentation with pocket screws. And what I found out as I was going along here is I made a couple of mistakes, or I shouldn't say mistakes, but designs that I would like to change. So first off, this is going to go right on top of here. This is built more like a traditional cabinet, and after I built it, I was thinking to myself, what if something gets under there, or how I'm going to sweep around this? The floor isn't very level, so I would kind of prefer to have feet on this, especially if water gets on there. I don't want it to soak up into the plywood. So I was thinking, how could I add feet to this? But then I was like, I kind of want to redesign it so that it looks nice. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to chop the bottom of this cabinet off and then put some kind of feet on there, and then adjustable feet too, because the floor is really unlevel over by where the plumbing is roughed in. So I'm going to chop the bottom of this off, and then I'm going to put some feet on there. And then the other thing I noticed while I was doing this, I actually did make a mistake, a measurement mistake. So if I got this thing all lined up correctly like this, I have a perfect reveal of the counter at 1 inch all the way around. Well, what I originally planned on doing was, I wasn't going to do a face frame, but I was going to have the doors on the outside of the cabinet here, but then I wouldn't have that same reveal as I do on the sides, which kind of forced me to put the doors on the inside of the cabinet. So over in the corner there, I've already cut the doors out, I've already cut the drawer, but this project's actually been sitting over in the corner. I started it one day, got most of this completed, and then I've been working on other projects and just kind of been busy for a couple months. So I wasn't planning on making a video about this, but I figured, why not? Maybe somebody can learn something. So I'm going to start off from here, and I'm just going to chop the bottom off of this, and then I'm going to put some legs on it. Well, there you go. The bottom is officially off, and now we just need to put some feet on it. So I have some feet here that are adjustable that I want to add to the bottom of these fixed feet. And I think I want it to be about 3 inches wide, and the piece that I cut off was 4 inches, so probably about 3.5 inches long, 4-inch square wide. And I just found this piece of scrap, and luckily I have my new joiner planer, so I'm just going to join and plane this down. It's going to be fun to use that, because in the past I just didn't have that kind of option. And then also these feet are about 1/2 inch, so 3.5 inch times 4 on these. Pop them on the bottom of here, and I think we should be good to go. So let's get over to the joiner. Okay, so the legs are assembled, and it looks just about how I expected. So this way I don't have to worry about water getting underneath it, and I should be able to level it too. So let's get the doors on here, build a drawer, put the drawer in, and then start thinking about getting some paint. So the experimentation continues with the shop sink cabinet build. I just got done priming the doors and the drawer front. So as you can see, I've got the primer on there. If I get in real close, you can kind of see a little bit of beading. I'm going to be able to sand this before I put the paint coat on. But the real issue is that this is actually a plywood that already has like a polyurethane coating on it, used more for cabinet build. I have a lot of it on hand, so I decided to use that. I did give it a sanding with, I think, 320 or 220 sandpaper, or maybe it was 180. I don't remember what it was, but I did give that coating a sanding already, thinking that would prep the surface enough that this primer, and I'm using Benjamin Moore Advanced Primer on this, and I sprayed it, and it's sticking pretty well, but as you can see, there was a little bit of beading with it, and then also, it's only been drying for a couple hours, but I was able to scratch it off a little bit on one part on a test piece, so I'm a little worried that even if I fully allow the primer to dry, and then also spray the paint on top, that possibly there won't be good adhesion. And the reason I did try it out on here is I have a lot of cabinet builds I'm gonna be doing, so it's good to know that if I do have any pieces that need to be sprayed like that, that I actually probably should be using a different kind of plywood, or at least sanding it down quite a ways. I just was a little worried about the really thin veneer, that if I tried to sand that polyurethane surface off, that I would actually sand through the veneer. So yeah, I'll get a coat of paint on these, and I still do on the sides here. I still have that mahogany veneer, and so I just tape that off. So it should turn out nice, where I have a nice painted surface, and then those edges will be that wood veneer color. So yeah, let's get on to the next steps. After experimenting with spraying the doors, I decided to test brushing Benjamin Moore Advance on the cabinet. I wanted to compare results of the Advance paint alone and with Floetrol additive. I've used Advance on trim for years without additive with close to spray-like results, but it does seem like adding Floetrol can smooth the surface even further, and I may use it in some applications in the future. One thing that I did notice while installing the doors is that it's better done with the cabinet set in its final place. The floor here is slightly different from the floor by the plumbing and caused the cabinet to twist slightly, affecting the door gaps or reveals. Once I moved the cabinet, I had to make additional adjustments. Since this is a sink top and will be exposed to water, I wanted to make sure I protected the walnut. I used Total Boat penetrating epoxy wood sealer on all surfaces. I also applied this to some of the plywood edges as I built the cabinet to proof it against water issues. On top of the epoxy coat, I applied about 5 coats of Total Boat spar varnish with light sanding between coats. So this is the moment of truth. I've got the water lines hooked up, the angle stops are turned on, got the P-trap plumbing all set up. Let's see if it works. Not too bad. So, everything is complete. Maybe we can take a closer look. We've got the nice walnut handles on the doors. We've got this edge banding of mahogany, so we have a nice contrast. I kind of prefer a hardwood veneer on edges, but this is really turning out nice with the edge banding, even though I'm not a huge fan of edge banding. Drawers turned out really nice as well with the soft close. If I were to do something different with this, I probably would have just went with 1/2" ply instead of 3/4" ply. And I wouldn't have done pocket screws. Pocket screws turned out really nice, but I think I like the half method a little better with 1/2" ply on the drawers. The painted surface actually turned out really nice, even though I was a little worried about that primer. And maybe if I were to try to prime some of this pre-finished plywood again, I'd probably maybe use a different primer like Stix or something like that. But other than that, it looks really nice. I really like the top, which was the inspiration for the entire project. I ended up buying this 14 gauge, I think it's 14 gauge, it's a very thick, you can really tell that's a thick top. Got it on great discount. It has a tiny little dent right here. I think I got it half off. I mean, I got a smoking deal on this thing. So I purchased this knowing that I wanted this for my shop. And then the inspiration was this walnut top, and I kind of went from there and got creative with it. So, as you can see, it looks fantastic. Really a nice addition as I start to update my shop and really try to improve things. And do you need a shop sink that's this nice? Definitely not. But this is definitely, you know, part of the hobby. Experimenting, working with different things, and this is something that I'll have for a long time, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be built to last as well. And I also like to do a lot of things with the sink that I was doing upstairs or in the laundry room that now I can clean my paintbrushes down here. I also like to sharpen my knives with water stones. I can start doing that in the shop as well. So I'm really excited about this new addition to the shop and to continue with this project. Hopefully some of the things I experimented with on this project will inspire someone else in their projects. So yeah, leave some comments in the comments section. Thanks.